Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to start with introducing myself. I'm Melek Demiröz, a master's degree student at the Department of Architecture at Middle East Technical University in Ankara, in Turkey. My interest for the relation between big data, city, and architecture led me to be a participant here. Today, I'd like to share the research titled as Mapping the Temporality of Urban Events that is conducted with Associate Professor Dr. Alanyalı Aral, also from Middle East Technical University. In this presentation, first, there will be a brief introduction, and secondly, the relation between urban identity, events, and their temporal dimension will be explained. Thirdly, the potentials and limitations of mapping events and identity of the urban environment through web data will be discussed with relevant examples, and consequently, time as a component of mapping urban space and activities will be debated. Understanding the space that we live in has been an interesting challenge for people for a long time. While defining place was a great challenge, the concepts like sense of place, place identity, and placelessness evolved lately as a result of the proliferation of communication among people who live across the world with the recent developments in technology. Apart from that, social and economic aspects of the city, in addition to the physical features of urban environment, is currently a matter of debate together with the idea of the city as a complex organism. As also Corner points out, the city is more than a physical setting with its ever changing politics, psychology, and sociality of its inhabitants that use the urban space. Although the complex character of these notions is difficult to grasp, it becomes easier to grasp via the expressive and descriptive nature of mapping as an act according to Corner. On the other hand, the developments in technology provides the opportunity to reach a great amount of data about the urban environment easily. Furthermore, according to some scholars, repeated events occurring in a specific time of the year, like local festivals and cultural events, can be invisible for people who do not live there, but they substantially unveil the identity of that specific place. Hence, revealing the hidden activities and events in the city can give an idea about the characteristics of the cities. I'd like to begin with an answer to a question, which is why is understanding the character of the city that we live in so important? Architectural critic Ian Nairn claims that identifying and recognizing the environment and the relation to it is a uh, need for the human being. Therefore, sense of place is a necessity instead of a fine art extra. People need to be aware of what is going on in their surroundings to have a sense of place. Therefore, it is important to understand the concept of sense of place, and Bodenhammer explains sense of place by saying that our sense of place depends upon the simultaneous connection of both time and space. One attribute alone, either time or space, is not sufficient to define it. And he introduces time as the fourth dimension of space. Another attribute of sense of place is indicated as identity, which is explained as persistent sameness and unity, which allows that to be differentiated from others by Ralph. Persistent identity of place is composed of three elements, which are activities and events, physical setting, and meanings created by experiences. Hence, it can be inferred that the identity and character of a city is highly relevant to the events and activities which take place in urban space, which creates the sense of place as a necessity for human being and cannot be considered independent from the time as a component. The dependence of urban practice upon spatiotemporal attributes makes it difficult to analyze via conventional ways and sources of information. Current technological advancements bring about the recognition of a large amount of geographical data. With the use of the internet on mobile phones, people are voluntarily sharing location based visual and textual data. The information about human activities and events can be found through social network sites like Twitter, Facebook, Foursquare, Instagram, and many other websites easily, and new information is added by the users constantly. This data can be organized and used to create visualization of the events and activities of the city. At this point, the role of maps as expressing an already existing unorganized data source to create a more meaningful understanding of the urban environment becomes crucial. As Presner also indicates, mapping is not a one-time thing, and maps are not stable objects that reference, reflect, or correspond to an external reality. Mapping is a verb and bespeaks an ongoing process of picturing, narrating, symbolizing, contesting, repicturing, renarrating, resymbolizing, erasing, and reinscribing a set of relations. Maps are representations of a world which reference other such representations. Here, I'd like to mention some studies that put activity and identity at the center. As an example of a recent research conducted to study urban identity through user-generated data, Liu and his colleagues created visuals by Panorama and Flickr data to compare cities in terms of their visual similarity and differences, and their uniqueness is revealed by this way as it can be seen from the image. The aim of the research was to prove that the potential of large-scale geotag data in understanding place identity. Although the visuals reflect the city identity through landmarks, colors, and other architectural objects, the identity is limited to the physical objects in these images. The other study by Zhang and Kim aims to visualize the collective identity of place by using textual and location data extracted from Instagram to create a crowdsourced cognitive map. They use Instagram check-in data and categorize the textual data on Instagram under the keywords activity and meaning to demonstrate spatial relations in Bandang. The map created by them visualizes the check-in location as blue dots and circles that each represent an activity or meaning, and the diameter expresses the frequency of the activity or meaning as it can be observed from the image. By utilizing Twitter location data and textual data with the method called topic modeling, Jenkins and his colleagues tried to demonstrate the distribution of different categories of activities to identify the character of places. In this image, all the activity categories that they create are visible in the New York map. As another example of mapping by using web data, Liu and his colleagues make use of Flickr's geotag photos together with hashtag data, and they produce a word cloud and a map expressing the density of photograph locations in Paris. Their main purpose was to provide a sense of city generated by people's perceptions through what they call social sensing data as it is observed in the image. The words like street art, architecture, Eiffel Tower, and Louvre Museum indicate the activities along with the city. However, they give a general idea about the activities and character of the city instead of locational information. Density maps illustrate the tourist attractions with their specific coordinates, but also since they focus on specific landmarks of the city, they give a partial idea about the identity of the city through activity. Now I'd like to move on to some studies that consider time as component of expressing place. Zooming into Instagram City is a study also generated by using Instagram check-in data and photographs. The authors created a composition of photos taken in a specific place, which is Tel Aviv, arranged according to the time that they have been uploaded and according to the hue. The angles and the radial form represent the hours in a clock. They also created a dot and line network map to show the photos which are taken at the same time, with connecting them with a line that can be seen from the image also. Another project was conducted by Liu and colleagues. They used three sources of data to illustrate human mobility and activities through the urban area in Shanghai. Check-in data as the red color, taxi pickup data as the green color, and taxi drop-off data as blue color, illustrated in image A between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m., and in the image B between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Similarly, in this research, the authors focus on illustrating time as a dimension of urban place. Nevertheless, it would be more meaningful if we could observe the change in the colors also between the hours 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Finally, in this image, you see a map created as a project for one of the master courses at Middle East Technical University, which is creative mapping techniques in architecture. The aim is to reveal the daily life and experience of children who work on streets as paper collectors and who work in farmers market in Ankara, and the conflicts and negotiations between these two different groups of children. Besides revealing the interactions and material exchange between these groups, it is important to express what kind of activities these children do during a typical day. The space-time cube method, which is introduced by Hegerstrand, is tried to be integrated to the map, and time sequence is emphasized by creating a video. Here, the data stems from the observations of the map maker, but method and content includes both activities, time, and meaning as components of sense of place. In the light of these, it can be concluded that a city's identity and character are much related to the events and activities occurring there and cannot be treated as independent of the time as a component of urban space. It becomes difficult to understand the urban dynamic as a whole without time continuity. To understand urban place and sense of place, continuity of maps as a process and interactivity of maps as the involvement of users to the process should be considered, while the fundamental issue is how to incorporate time into maps. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me via my email that you see on the screen right now. Thank you.